very young, what will you
In
give
Kazakhstan,
us this
we
time?
use goats for meat and milk, but in America, they have something called a scapegoat. This is an article and info by Glennis Sherwood, helping you feel better one post at a time, from 2013, yet no less relevant for the present day, as that term has been around since at least the 70s. I could relate to it well at one time. Scapegoaters are insecure people driven to try and raise their own status by attempting to lower the status of their target. Did you grow up having doubts about your self-esteem or personal worth? When things went wrong in your family, did you tend to be the fall guy? Do you find yourself encountering recurring disrespect from friends or colleagues? Do you feel unsure of yourself and or have difficulty experiencing trust in relationships? If you answered yes to any of these statements, you may have been scapegoated by your family. The term scapegoat refers to a family member who takes the blame for difficulties in the family. Scapegoating is a form of bullying. Family relationships profoundly impact our identity and how we view ourselves. How to tell if you have been scapegoated. Number 1, you are held responsible for family problems, conflicts, or challenges, even if they have nothing to do with you. Other people blame you for their actions. You may end up feeling a lot of shame for being the bad guy and or anger for being blamed for negative family dynamics. You are attacked. Number 2, and disbelieved if you tell the truth and blow the whistle on negative and or inappropriate family dynamics. Number 3, there has been a history of one or more family members being verbally, emotionally, or physically abusive towards you. Other family members seem to accept or look the other way when you are bullied or aggressed against like this. You may feel like the black sheep of the family. You find yourself repeatedly being accused. Number 4, of behavior the scapegoater is engaged in. For example, a family member repeatedly yells at you and then accuses you of being abusive or being thoughtful and then told all you care about is yourself. 5, you act out the negative expectations of scapegoating, such as not living up to your potential or getting into relationships with abusive people because your self-esteem has been damaged. 6, being the mentally healthiest family member, but being accused of being sick, bad, etc. 7, occupying the role of family outcast and being treated with disdain or disgust by family or yourself. 8, your achievements are belittled, minimized, criticized, and rejected. What's going on in families that scapegoat? Families that are shame or fear-based are not healthy. Often in these families you will find evidence of abuse, neglect, addiction, betrayal, mental illness, and insecurity. Dysfunctional families either lack insight or find it threatening and actively repress it through scapegoating those who want to understand and change negative dynamics. Scapegoating is a projection defense that allows scapegoaters to keep up appearances. In other words, by making the scapegoat look bad, it takes attention off the real problem. Many families who resort to scapegoating are headed by narcissistic parents who lack personal awareness and empathy for their target, as in their eyes the target is there to serve their false image. So the purpose of scapegoating is to allow families to carry on unhealthy behavior patterns and maintain myth of normalcy without having to look inward or take responsibility for a toxic environment. To the outside observer and possibly the scapegoat, these families seem crazy making and delusional. Who gets picked to be scapegoat? The scapegoat doesn't get picked randomly or by accident. Usually they are either sensitive, unhappy, vulnerable, ill, and or the outspoken child or whistleblower. In other words, the scapegoat is the child who refuses to look content or stay silent in the unbearable atmosphere created in the family home. How scapegoating impacts the target. Scapegoats almost universally experience low self-esteem or lack of self-worth. The major problem is that they suffer from an identity disturbance. As the target confuses the myth that they are bad with the truth, this is usually a lie, and the truth is that scapegoats are being abused by being taught they are bad. Scapegoats tend to struggle with chronic insecurity as they never feel safe or believe they are loved. They can also fall into a victim role and unconsciously repeat their scapegoating by gravitating towards unhealthy behavior or relationships at work, school, and their private life. Scapegoats often have trouble feeling safe in relationships, especially intimate ones, due to the betrayal of trust in the family. They can also have challenges managing emotions and find they either feel overwhelmed by feelings and anxious or shut down and not know how they are feeling. Some ways to break free. Understand that what you have come to believe about yourself as family scapegoat, i.e. that you are bad, weird, inadequate, or defective, is not the truth. In fact, it's likely a lie that was created to prevent family members from acknowledging their own troubles, thereby avoiding taking responsibility for both their behavior and the need to change. Locate and trust your inner owl, that wise part of you that knows you have been mistreated and will no longer willingly allow this abuse from others or yourself. Recognize that feelings of shame, guilt, and self-blame belong to the perpetrators, not you, as target. You are simply a dumping ground for their bad feelings. To change this, you need to start standing up to the notion that you are at fault. You will likely have to begin with yourself, learning to question and reject seeing yourself as bad. Get to know your true self, identify expectations to the negative stereotype you have been saddled with. In other words, pinpoint what is good, likable, or at least adequate about you, your character, values, actions, etc. Write down your good traits. You will need to be reminded of this alternate universe, which is the truth about you, especially if you start to fall back into the habit of feeling bad about yourself again. Understand that getting better and feeling better is a learning curve, and you may slip a few times before you gain solid footing. Figure out what you might be doing, consciously or unconsciously, that gives scapegoaters the idea that it's okay to abuse you. Determine how to change any behavior that draws you into the victim role. Stop trying to win the favor of abusive and uncaring family members, co-workers, or friends. Anyone who engages in this type of inappropriate behavior has personality problems, especially a parent who did not love their child. What I have learned about that one is it's completely an inside job. You can't ever expect other people to validate you or understand, because they have their own walls and bridges that make them who they are, and if they have not looked at themselves in an honest way or owned their own behavior and been introspective, etc., it's all about you. And that's not well, it is kind of a selfish thing, but it has to be all about you before it can be about anybody else. Just like Jesus said, you have to love others as you love yourself. Moving on, don't expect abusive family members to apologize or make amends. They will likely blame you more if you attempt to hold them accountable. Start asserting your right to be treated respectfully with family and other people who try to abuse you, e.g. the way you spoke to me now is not acceptable, and I never want to be talked to like that again. Or if you want to have a relationship with me, you will stop the angry outbursts, name-calling, accusations, etc. Know that you may not be heard or respected by aggressive people. The point is that you hear and respect yourself. Don't do this until you are ready to follow through with your commitment to yourself. Accept that you may never have a healthy relationship with your scapegoaters. This may involve limited or no contact with those who are determined to continue to abuse you. You may experience feelings of grief, work through the painful feelings, and get support if needed. This pain is much less harmful than continuing to allow yourself to be abused by anyone. Get in the habit of treating yourself with kindness, caring, compassion, appreciation, and acceptance. Practice viewing yourself as a person of worth and lovability. This will likely feel weird at first as it is unfamiliar, but even though it's unfamiliar, treating yourself in a loving manner is never wrong. Understand that it will take time to learn how to love and appreciate yourself. You have been trained to be overly self-critical and may believe you are defective. Be patient as this false image gradually crumbles. Get counseling to help you overcome this painful legacy and find your true self, the strong, valuable person you are meant to be. Practice what you preach with others. Break the cycle. This author is based Vancouver, BC, and there's the contact information.